Okay, hello. In this week, we're going to deal with semantics and the conceptual system. We have to contextualize this idea of the meaning of conceptual system that since the 1980s, there was a more recent approach of cognitive semantics. It was that try to see language as part of our cognitive ability through which we organize and classify all aspects of our experience. Remember that we are not like a blank slate and we learn words by heart and we memorize words and no. I mean, we put them into a set of categories and concepts, and we link ideas and words and phrases and sentences with each other. So it's part of our ability, yes, to organize all aspects of our experience. So a conceptual system is capable of organizing and classifying every imaginable aspect of our experience. Okay, so it could be from our inner feelings and perceptions to cultural and social phenomena, because we are part of a culture, so we have to understand the codes, and to the physical world that surrounds us. So that is the way in which we organize and classify. So the focus is on what the study of this conceptual system reveals about how meaning is expressed through language. How meaning is expressed through language. This is the main idea. So categorization and conceptualization are based on the comparison of new things with ones we already know and the resulting cognitive construction of similarities between different entities. That it results on the cognitive construction of similarities between different entities. That is the main idea of this. Yes, we compare things, the new things, with the already existing ones. So, for example, we can talk about fuzzy concepts. In this idea of categorization and conceptualizing things. So, what is a fuzzy concept? Think of the word un ratito, un rato, un toque, en un toque voy, en 2 segundos bajo, enseguidita estoy ahí. What does enseguidita means? What do we understand by enseguidita? What about corrientes? What about an English person that says, okay, it will take... en un toque estoy, or in a while, I'll be there in a while. What is the idea of a while? What extension of time does it have? Okay, or the word tall, or the word small, or thin. Yes, sometimes it has not a clear-cut boundaries. It depends on the culture. It depends on on what we know, what we understand. Okay. Then another idea we have is a graded membership or prototype that we grade in terms of their typicality. So think of a house. What is the first image you get of a house? Like a very common house, yes, with a triangle on the top and the door and a tree next to it and one window. Okay, that could be the first idea. That is the prototype. But you don't imagine a cave, a house in a cave, for example. So if concepts have an internal structure which the best or prototypical exemplars close to the core, and the less typical members are ranging successively more peripheral regions. So you say, think of a bird, you're not going to think of a penguin. You're going to think of a robin, okay? But not going to think about that, the first prototype that you have. So, graded membership. Another conceptualization is the metaphor. So, the concepts expressed through language are not isolated from each other. Yeah? There are many interconnections and associations among the various subparts of it. So, what good examples of these interconnections involve the metaphor, which is the understanding of one concept in terms of another. So, what brings these two concepts, when we understand one concept in terms of another, what brings these of them together is the perception. With many cases, it's based on culture And in another part, on the other hand, on feelings that all human beings share. And time is a very good example of that you are wasting my time. This gadget will save you hours. How do you spend your time these days? I have invested a lot of time in that project. You need to budget your time, okay? So you have a concept here, and we understand one concept in terms of another, okay? And sometimes we think of metaphors in terms of literary texts, and we use metaphors more than we assume we do, okay? We're using metaphors all the time in our lives. The fact is that we do not realize that. Okay, spatial metaphor. Another very prevalent metaphor in our language involves the use of words that are primarily associated with spatial orientation to talk about physical and psychological states. So we have, for examples, emotions. Happy is up, sad is down. Okay, so I'm feeling up, I'm feeling down. He fell into a depression. That gave me a lift. Or for physical health and life are up, sickness and death are down. He's the peak of health. He's sinking fast. He fell ill. Lazarus rose from the dead. He's in top shape. Okay, you see that we have spatial metaphors, yes? Then we have lexicalization of concepts, okay? So the linguists try to think about the differences among languages and how each language lexicalized, let's say. There are concepts which are encoded in the words of language. For example, we have, the Eskimos use lots of words to define snow or to define the color white, for example. Or, for example, in English here, you have many verbs pertaining to light in English, glimmer, gleam, glitter. We do not have all of them in Spanish. Or how they use two words in a single word, like snow on the ground, like falling snow, drifting, okay? One word which joins two words together. Some linguists call them, like blending, compounding, for example. The way in which we use words to encode, language concepts in the language. And with this idea of lexicalization, we have motion verbs, which has been very well studied. Languages have words that can describe motion through space. In English, come, go, and move. Okay. However, we will suggest that there might be systematic differences in terms of how language expresses motion and the concepts which are related to it. So Romance languages, descendants of Latin, cannot express motion events in this way. La botella rodó en la cueva. So the bottle rolled into the cave. Instead, the motion and its manner have to be expressed separately. Like, la botella entró en la cueva rodando. The bottle entered the cave rolling. So have a look at here. There are many expressions, and I think that it's a good way of thinking, of making your students thinking and reflecting about the differences between English and Spanish. It has to do with metacognition learning. So el globo bajó por la chimenea, the balloon moved down through the chimney. You see? El globo subió por la chimenea, the balloon moved up through the chimney. Okay? Some verbs express emotion and matter in English. The rock rolled down the hill. The pack slid across the ice. She limped. It expressed motion and manner at the same time. Yes, bajó despacito por la chimenea. Yes, we don't say limped through the house. And this was from especialización that says lenguas de marco verbal and lenguas de marco salterital. I think it's very interesting in the way of thinking about both languages. Like in Spanish, the main verb has el verbo principal fusiona el movimiento con la trayectoria. Okay, so Juan subió, se acercó, cruzó hacia la terraza. No, subió la terraza, se acercó a la terraza, no hacia la terraza. Okay, subió, entró a la terraza. Okay, and en lenguas de marco satelital, like English, el verbo principal fusiona el movimiento con la manera. John went up, entered into, approached, crossed to the terrace. Okay, manera expresadamente recursos que implican la subordinación a adjunción. Flotó hacia la orilla. Okay, la trayectoria expresada mediante satélites que se encuentran con relación a la banda con el verbo. John floated, swam to the shore. Okay, and there are some examples. David trembled, twisted, dancing into the window. So you see, these are to analyze these differences. Yes, how I mean, it's very interesting in analyzing both languages. And I like these charts from Ramón García. Yes, la sintaxis de una lengua está condicionada por la forma en que los hablantes conceptualizan, describen y conciben la realidad. Por eso es cognitive semantics. La sintaxis de las lenguas presentan características muy diversas y estas diferencias están dadas por la relación entre la semántica y la sintaxis. Los angloparlantes, por ejemplo, conceptualizan la realidad de una manera más concreta, objetiva y precisa. En cambio, los hispanoparlantes la conciben de manera más abstracta, ajena, detalles, caracterización precisa. Estas percepciones diferentes de la realidad se evidencian en la modificación del núcleo sustantivo del sintagma nominal en ambas lenguas. So, sometimes you say, I prefer English because they speak so clearly and they just go to the point, straight to the point. And sometimes when you listen to some teachers, talking in Spanish, it's like they go around and around the same topic and moving from one idea to another. And sometimes you say, why so many words? It's like I prefer reading or listening to someone in English because I feel that it's much clearer. Okay, sometimes that's the perception we have. Okay, then we have the grammaticization of concepts. So concepts that are expressed as affixes or non-lexical categories are said to have been grammatized. So we know that when we add ed, it's past. We're talking in the past. So I googled. Okay, just by adding it, we understand that even though the word Google maybe doesn't exist or it's a very new word, but we know that adding an ed, it's something that I did in the past, that I Googled in the past. Okay, more than one, yes, again, negation in an. And then as regards the concepts, we have obligation, must, possibility. So we add that and we grammatize, let's say. Okay, so we talked about the conceptual system, but now we're going to move to the syntax and sentence interpretation, okay?